What if I told you the strongest character in One Piece isn't free? Not Luffy, not Blackbeard, not the Five Elders. I'm talking about Imu, the hidden ruler of the world, the person sitting above kings, above marines, above the Gorosei themselves, a being who may have survived since the Void Century. But that creates one massive question. If Imu is really that powerful, why hide? Why stay in the shadows? Why use the Marines, Cypher Pole, the Holy Knights, and the Five Elders? If Imu can erase islands, command monsters, and possibly act through others from a distance, then why doesn't Imu simply step outside and end every threat personally? But what if we've been asking the wrong question? What if Imu isn't hiding because he wants to? What if Imu is hiding because he has to? Because maybe immortality was never Imu's greatest gift. Maybe it was his prison. After everything Oda has shown us, the empty throne, Pangaea Castle, the flower room, the giant straw hat, the link with the Gorosei, the ancient war, and especially those butterflies, the truth about Imu might be darker than we imagined. Imu may not be truly immortal. Imu may be trapped, and the ruler of the world may secretly be running out of time. Think about Imu's world for a second. For someone who controls the entire planet, Imu's actual world feels unbelievably small. Mary Juaz, Pangaea Castle, the empty throne, the flower chamber, the frozen vault. That's basically it. Now compare that to Luffy. Luffy's entire story is movement. He sails from island to island. He meets people. He eats with strangers. He laughs. He fights. He frees kingdoms. He changes every place he touches. Luffy's world keeps expanding, but Imu's world feels like it keeps shrinking. And that contrast feels way too intentional. Freedom and control. The sun and the shadow. So maybe the final battle of One Piece was never just about strength. Maybe it was always about freedom versus imprisonment. Imagine this. You rule the entire world. Every king kneels to your system. Every marine protects your order. Every law preserves your throne. You sit above everyone. You can send others anywhere, but you cannot go yourself. You own the world, but you cannot experience it. That doesn't sound like freedom. That sounds like a cage. And this is where the Ope Ope no Mi becomes important. The Ope Ope no Mi has one of the most mysterious abilities in the story, the perennial youth operation, the surgery that can grant perpetual youth at the cost of the user's life. That ability was not introduced by accident. People in the One Piece world know this operation exists, which means at some point in history, someone may have used it. And the obvious candidate is Imu. Most fans hear perpetual youth and immediately think one thing: Imu became immortal. But what if that explanation is too simple? What if the operation did not make Imu an untouchable god? What if it only stopped age from taking Imu naturally? Because perpetual youth does not have to mean perfect invincibility. You can stop aging and still be wounded. You can survive beyond a normal lifespan and still carry damage. You can escape natural death and still be cursed by something unnatural. So here is the theory. Maybe Imu received the Ope Ope no Mi operation long ago. Maybe that is why Imu could survive across centuries. But later, during the Void Century, Joy Boy did something that the surgery could not undo. Not a normal wound, not a normal defeat. Something deeper. Maybe a level of haki the modern world has not fully seen. Maybe an ancient weapon, maybe a lost power connected to the old world, the sun god, or the true nature of devil fruits. Something that did not kill Imu, but broke Imu. A wound that never healed, a curse that never disappeared, a permanent injury that even perpetual youth could not erase. And suddenly Pangaea Castle stops looking like a palace. It starts looking like life support. What if Imu's throne isn't just a throne? What if the castle itself is preserving Imu? What if the flower room, the frozen vault, the structure of Mary Juaz, and the isolation around Imu are all part of an ancient system designed to keep the ruler alive? Inside Pangaea Castle, the body stabilizes, the damage is paused, the countdown is slowed. But outside those walls, time starts moving again. And if that sounds impossible, look at the Five Elders. The Gorosei shattered our understanding of age in One Piece. They do not simply look old, they feel ancient. And yet, they can still act. They transform, they regenerate, they obey Imu directly. But notice something important. The Gorosei almost never leave Marijois. When they do, it feels like a major event. Saturn going to Egghead was not casual. The elders arriving through summoning felt like an emergency move, not something they do every day. Maybe they can leave, but only for limited periods. Maybe Marijois, or Panja Castle specifically, protects them from time, damage, or decay. For the Gorosei, maybe a short mission is manageable. But for Imu, someone surviving on borrowed time, even a brief appearance outside the safe zone could be dangerous. Maybe Imu is not inactive because of arrogance. Maybe Imu is inactive because every direct action has a cost. If Imu cannot freely leave the castle, then controlling the world indirectly becomes the perfect solution. Why travel when others can move for you? Why fight directly when the Gorosei can fight for you? Why risk your own body when your empire has marines, holy knights, admirals, and monsters? This could explain why the world government is built the way it is. It is not just a political system. It is an extension of Imu's limitation. The Marines are Imu's hands. Cypher Pole is Imu's eyes. The Gorosei are Imu's voice. The Holy Knights are Imu's sword. Because the king cannot leave the cage, so the cage reaches out for him. And now, the strangest clue becomes much more disturbing. The butterflies. At first, they look simple. Peaceful imagery, a quiet detail, something soft around a character who represents darkness. But Oda almost never uses imagery randomly. Butterflies are fragile. Their lives are short. Some live for weeks, some only days. Their existence is brief, delicate, and temporary. And that is why Imu playing with butterflies might matter. Because maybe Imu plays with butterflies because their lifespan is so short. They feel relatable. That sounds strange at first. To the world, Imu looks eternal. To the Gorosei, Imu is the supreme ruler. To the audience, Imu may look like the final god of the story. But inside that castle, maybe Imu knows the truth. The clock never stopped. It was only delayed. Because despite ruling the entire world, Imu may still be terrified of the same thing every human fears. The end. Now think about Vegapunk's message. Vegapunk says he will not label either side of the ancient conflict as good or evil. That line is strange. Because Vegapunk discovered forbidden history. He learned pieces of the Void Century. He understood enough about the ancient war to know the world itself had been shaped by that conflict. And yet, he refused to simplify it. Maybe Oda is warning us not to judge the beginning too quickly. Maybe Imu is evil now. Maybe Imu has committed unforgivable crimes. But maybe Saint Imu of the Nerona family was not born as the monster we see today. Maybe Imu became that monster. One Piece has asked this question many times. What creates monsters? Doflamingo was shaped by his past. Big Mom was shaped by hunger, abandonment, and manipulation. Kaido was shaped by war. Arlong was shaped by hatred and oppression. So what created Imu? Was it fear? Was it betrayal? Was it Joy Boy? Was it the loss of someone important? Or was it the terror of death itself? Maybe Imu's greatest sin began with a desire to survive. And that would be very Oda, because the scariest villains in One Piece are not always people who want destruction for no reason. They are people who twist something human into something monstrous. Justice becomes absolute control. Protection becomes oppression. Survival becomes tyranny. And maybe that is the real story of Imu. A person who was once afraid to die and then built an entire world where nobody else could be free. Because if Imu cannot be free, then no one else should be free either. That is why Luffy is the perfect enemy. Not only because he is strong, not only because he awakened Nika, not only because he carries the initial D, but because Luffy represents everything Imu lost. Luffy moves, Imu stays. Luffy laughs, Imu watches. Luffy makes friends naturally. Imu commands servants. Luffy risks death without being ruled by fear. Imu may have spent 800 years running from it. Luffy's dream is freedom. Imu's empire is control. So when these two finally stand opposite each other, the fight may not just be a clash of powers, it will be a clash of lives. One person who lived freely, even if his life might be short, and one person who survived forever, but never truly lived. That is why the idea Imu isn't immortal, Imu is trapped, works so well. We thought Imu's age made the character godlike, but maybe Imu's age is proof of suffering. We thought the castle was a kingdom. Maybe it is a hospital. We thought the empty throne was a symbol of ultimate authority. Maybe it is the chair of a prisoner who cannot step too far outside the cage. And if this is true, it also changes the final war. Everyone imagines Luffy defeating Imu with one massive final attack. Gear 5th, Sun God power, Haki, a punch that breaks the sky. And maybe that will happen. But what if the real victory is different? What if Luffy does not need to overpower Imu completely? What if Luffy only needs to expose Imu, to drag the hidden ruler out of the castle, to destroy the system keeping Imu alive, to force the king of the world to face time again? Because if Imu has survived through artificial means, then the final battle might have a built-in timer. Imu may be unbelievably powerful for a short period, almost unstoppable. But the longer Imu fights outside the safe zone, the more the curse returns. The body weakens, the old wound opens, the countdown resumes. And suddenly the final villain is not defeated only by strength. The final villain is defeated by the one thing he spent 800 years trying to escape. Time that would make Luffy's victory feel different from every other battle. Because Luffy would not just defeat Imu physically, he would destroy the lie of Imu's immortality. He would prove that nobody can control life forever. Nobody can stop the dawn forever. And this brings us to the red line. The red line is not just geography. It is the biggest wall in the world. It divides seas. It separates people. It supports marriage laws. It places the celestial dragons above everyone else. And if Pangea Castle is connected to Imu's survival, then the red line may be more than a wall. It may be part of the system, a foundation, a power source, a seal, a structure connected to the ancient world. Many theories already suggest that the red line must fall, to unite the seas, to create the All Blue, to fulfill Joy Boy's promise. But if Mary Joy sits on top of that structure, and if Imu's life support is connected to it, then destroying the red line would not only free the world, it would also destroy Imu's cage, or Imu's protection, or maybe both. And that is the tragic irony. Luffy, the freest man on the sea, may destroy Imu's prison. But for Imu, that freedom might also mean death. A butterfly is free because it can fly, but its life is short. And One Piece may be asking, which life has more meaning? A short life lived freely, or an endless life spent trapped in fear? Luffy's answer is obvious. He would rather die chasing freedom than live forever in a cage. And maybe that is what Joy Boy understood too. Maybe Joy Boy lost 800 years ago because he could not save the world. But he left behind a will, a promise, a fruit, a rhythm, a laugh, something that could return when the world was ready. Imu, on the other hand, stayed, survived, controlled, erased history. Joy Boy died, but his will kept moving. Imu lived, but his life stopped. And that might be the real tragedy of the Void Century. The dead man became freedom. The living king became a prisoner. Now ask yourself why Imu fears Nika so much. It may not just be because Nika is powerful. It may be because Nika is proof that time did not obey Imu. The world government changed the fruit's name. They hunted it. They erased history. They buried the truth. But the fruit still returned. The drums still came back. Joy Boys will still survive. And that means Imu's entire 800-year project failed. Because you can lock up bodies. You can erase names. You can destroy islands. You can rewrite history. But you cannot kill freedom forever. And Luffy is the living proof. Luffy is not just another pirate. He is the return of the one thing Imu could never control. A life that refuses to be contained. a boy who laughs in the face of gods. And most importantly, a person who does not fear death the way Imu does. That is terrifying to someone like Imu, because if your entire existence is built around surviving, then the most dangerous enemy is someone who lives without being controlled by survival. Luffy does not want eternal life. He does not want the empty throne. He does not want to rule the world. He wants to be free. And that makes him everything Imu can never understand. Because Imu became king of the world and still lost freedom, Luffy refuses to rule anyone and becomes the freest man alive. So when people ask, how will Luffy beat Imu? Maybe the answer is not just year 5th. Maybe Luffy beats Imu by forcing the truth into the open, by breaking the castle, by breaking the red line, by breaking the system, by turning the hidden ruler into a visible person. And once Imu is exposed, the myth dies. The god is revealed as wounded. The immortal is revealed as fragile. The ruler is revealed as afraid. And the world finally sees that the person controlling history was never above humanity. So now, the final question becomes much darker. When Luffy finally reaches Mary Geoise, when the red line begins to fall, when the castle cracks, when the system keeping the world frozen finally breaks, will Luffy be defeating Imu? Or will he be releasing Imu? Because if Imu is truly trapped, then the final war may not just be about killing a villain. It may be about ending an 800-year curse. And that would make Imu one of the darkest characters Oda has ever written. A ruler with everything except freedom. A king above the world who cannot live in it. An immortal who is never truly alive. So tell me, do you think Imu is actually immortal? Or has Oda secretly been showing us a dying king this entire time? And if you enjoyed this theory, remember, the Final Saga has only just begun. There are still secrets Oda hasn't revealed yet. So join the crew, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.